In a world where Tina Fey is producing her sixth series, Issa Rae is polishing off her Peabody, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is consulting on the latest James Bond film, it's hard to remember a time when funny women were laughed at, for the wrong reason. Though comedic actresses such as Goldie Hawn and Lucille Ball have delighted audiences throughout the 20th century, their scripts were by and large written by men. Comedy is to this day considered a boys' club. An attitude a 23-year-old Ann Beats felt the need to subvert at the National Lampoon, a critically acclaimed humor magazine founded by Doug Kenny.
I remember Doug, getting up from the table to call his wife, and it was one of those like, honey, well, I'll be home, I'll be home at 9, well, no, I'll be home at 10, well, maybe I'll be home at 11 kind of things. And I thought, you know what? I never want to be on the other end of the phone. I want to be here.
Beats soon got her wish, becoming the first female editor at the magazine, a major dent in the comedic glass ceiling. Her success in contributing to this cultural touchstone of the 1970s made her an ideal candidate to contribute to the next.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
As one of the original writers on Saturday Night Live, Beats worked with such luminaries as John Belushi and Gilda Radner. Her distinct female voice helped contribute to a culture at SNL where women were allowed to be as funny, if not funnier, than their male counterparts.
Yeah, well, there were only, at the most ever, 3 women on Saturday Night. We actually wrote a lot of stuff for Lorraine, Jane, and Gilda because we always felt that we had an obligation to cover the girls, to make sure that they got their time on the show and weren't relegated to roles where they would go, Mr. Stevens, we'll see you now.
While many might assume writing for SNL would be the zenith of one's career, Beats' work was only just beginning. In the years succeeding her tenure at the show, she would go on to write a hit sitcom starring Sarah Jessica Parker, write the book for a Broadway musical, and even give LA's favorite Mistress of the Dark a chance at the limelight. Like any comedian, Beats' work often pushed the boundary of good taste. For example, Volkswagen sued the National Lampoon after she made a parody advertisement stating that if Ted Kennedy was driving a Beetle, the Chappaquiddick incident would have never happened. And while this crass, and by today's standards, problematic sense of humor often found her at odds with Chapman students, young writers such as Victoria Rice have found inspiration in Beats.
Had her for sketch comedy writing over summer, which was really a class that kind of changed my life. We went on a bunch of field trips to different comedy clubs in LA, and we got to see Anne in her element, and it really sparked my love of live comedy, and getting to do that alongside Anne was such, a blessing.
Beats died late Wednesday night with her beloved daughter by her side. Despite being in pain, she had just the previous day taught her favorite class, writing for sketch comedy. Herman Melville once wrote, "I know not all that may be coming, but be it that it will, I'll go to it laughing." Though Anne would have certainly agreed with that line, it's fair to say she'd have one note. Can it be a little funnier? For Chapman News, I'm Nic Wratten.